Hi guys, welcome back to Zortex Anxiety Support. With Valentine's Day coming up, I thought we could discuss a little bit about being anxious and looking for love. So this isn't going to be more about relationship advice, it's going to be about dealing with anxiety and forming relationships, but even including friendships and family relationships. So let's get on into it. When dealing with anxiety, it can seem so hard to form good relationships because you struggle being around people, it can make you irritable, it makes you nervous, you can have a whole load of physical symptoms that are really unpleasant to deal with. Now, dealing with all of that and being the best version of yourself or looking for a new partner can prove really, really difficult. So how do we overcome it? The starting thing is that you need to just be true to yourself. Understand what you want from a relationship. Are you just looking for a flirtationship, or do you want somebody that's going to be your life partner? Knowing that will help you be more relaxed about approaching romantic situations. So take, for example, you meet somebody new, you're interested in them, and you are even thinking about, well, I'm looking for a life partner. You will need to be true to yourself and also with them, which is kind of the second point, and be honest with them. Tell them your struggles. You don't need to do it straight away, but at some point it will come up in conversation, and just explain to them that you struggle. It's something that is really uncomfortable to talk about, I think, because dealing with anxiety, especially severe anxiety disorders, can be really intimidating and expose your vulnerability. That's not something that you want to do, especially when you're getting to know somebody. You prefer to keep that part hidden. But if you're to succeed in having a stronger relationship, you want the other person to be aware of the struggles you face. Because if they're not prepared to deal with that, or if they view you differently because of that, you don't want to find that out a year from now. You don't want them to be like, oh, actually, this is too much for me. I don't want it. So being honest with yourself and with them actually helps a lot, even though if initially it's just a little bit unpleasant. Now, dates. If you don't want to tell them straight away what's going on, the first thing to do is find dates where you will feel okay. So go back through your triggers, go back through the situations where you do feel comfortable, you don't feel comfortable, and when you're arranging on somewhere to meet, pick somewhere that you feel okay. So if you're fine in a cinema, be like, let's go watch a film. If cinemas are really bad, say, let's go to a theme park, or let's go to the zoo, or let's go for a walk on a beach. There's different places, and it really depends what works for you. As I say in practically every video, every person's different, the triggers are different, so it's hard for me to say, this is where you should go. For me, I'd be okay as long as we're outside. Now, if it's like the middle of winter or it's really bad weather, then going outside isn't necessarily an option. But if you still want to meet up, see if there's something else you can do. Take, for example, an aquarium, right? It's not outside, but it's still kind of busy. You're still moving through, seeing animals. Find something as well that doesn't necessarily require just sitting still in one place. When meeting somebody new and talking, it's great to have an opportunity to actually do something rather than just having to talk, because that can feel really intimidating. A lot of people who suffer with social anxiety, those situations are just, they feel like a nightmare. So pick a situation where there's actually something to do. I mean, locally, you've now got like axe throwing. You could try and go to an outdoor centre where you could do rock climbing or abseiling. There are so many opportunities. You just have to do a bit of research, but also know kind of what areas you want to look in. When considering starting a new relationship, the other thing you want to do is make sure you don't lose yourself. So if you start to see a new person, don't feel like committed or obligated to see them all the time. Do what works for the pair of you. So that might mean seeing each other once a week, or having one date night a week and then maybe going to 2 date nights, or just spending the weekend together. don't feel pressured to rush just because potentially those around you or society is indicating, right, you should be spending all the time in the world together. Have your own life separate of that new relationship, because again, if something about that relationship becomes anxiety provoking, you have elsewhere to escape to. That relationship hasn't become your life. And that's a really important thing to hold on to. You need to keep hold of who you are and don't let somebody external influence that, especially not in a negative way. I mean, being in a relationship, you start to notice that they bring out the best in you, sometimes the worst, but ideally the best. And that's what you want to look for. So yes, you might change over time, but initially you shouldn't change all your habits. You shouldn't do everything to suit them. Keep something for yourself, something that you enjoy, and a time where you can just relax and unwind and not worry about things. Another thing that you may be concerned about is how you would find a romantic partner, especially in this day and age where most of us are still trapped inside, can't really go out. And it is harder because most of us live in our own little bubbles now, so meeting new people isn't that easy. The first thing I'd suggest is potentially finding some online groups for now, like local groups but online, if that makes sense, that are doing something you're interested in. So whether it's a writing club, a reading club, an art club, it depends. But find some people that are communicating locally, and that's a good way to meet people without feeling intimidated. Starting hobbies, I mean, even gaming, you can meet people. It's just very tricky because you don't know where they are in the world. So I think Facebook's a great tool for meeting people locally and seeing what clubs are on, and hopefully things will start reopening, so it gives you a chance to just meet new people without the pressure of a certain pandemic or virus. Now, again, meeting people online, a lot of people use dating apps. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's an interesting thing to try. Again, just be honest with yourself and the other person what you're looking for. There's no point misleading anybody, and if they mislead you, I mean, just make sure if you do ever meet them that it's in a safe space, and that if they're not who they say they are, that you can leave. Make sure you have an escape route. But there are so many different ways to make friends, it's just hard to plan. It's not as easy as it used to be if you think about just going out to a pub and meeting people, but actually it's easier now to meet like-minded people than it was a few years ago. So online groups are a fantastic way. For example, with my horse and my donkey, I've joined a horse group that's local to the area, just online, but there are so many members. It's like 12,000 members, I think. That's a lot of people, and you get to know them and you become a part of that community, and you make friends through that, but you might also find romantic interests through that. So it's a safe way to meet people, and people who are interested in the same thing as you. Just remember, you don't need a relationship. It can feel like the be all and end all, especially when you're younger, because you reach a point where you notice that your friends are getting married, settling down, having kids, and it can feel that that pressure is then placed to you of, why hasn't that happened in your life? It doesn't matter. You don't need somebody to make you happy. If you haven't found the right person, you haven't found the right person. There is no issue with that. Remember to be true to yourself, fill your life with things you love and people you love, and just see where life takes you. Don't worry too much about social norms and time limits on your life. It really doesn't matter. Nobody knows when things will happen in our life or how things are going to turn out. People who might seem happily married now might be divorced 10 years from now. You just don't know. So don't worry about not being in a relationship. Don't worry if your relationship is a little bit rocky. Just follow your heart, follow your gut instinct, and try to meet new people when and where you can, if you want more people in your life. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different. Drop a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe, and comment down below your favourite thing about Valentine's Day or that kind of season, or something that frustrates you about being anxious and looking for love. I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you next time.